the
This
difference between your
conference will
interface
now be recorded.
and what is the difference between your interface and as well as your abstract classes. And what we have seen yesterday, the main what is the difference between your dynamic binding and static binding. Generally, this dynamic binding is the one which is very useful when you see further learnings, like when you see, whenever you see learn advanced Java, or when you go for Spring or whatever. This based on this, there are a lot of concepts was developed, so you can able to understand the importance of dynamic polymorphism more when you go and learn some more part of the Java things, even in exception handling or multi-threading. So there are predefined things as defined it, right? So they are defined it based on this dynamic binding only. So why? Because object holding the child property, a child object is used in a lot of places actually. So what is the dynamic binding? Your parent will holding the child object, like your interface is just like a parent for all the childs, right? So which is holding your child object. So why this is very important, and why it is very useful? Because in the runtime you are not sure which object you will be created, right? Yesterday I have taken an example of RBI with HDFC and ICICI, some as like an example for understanding. So maybe some other Axis Bank or whatever the bank it may be, so you don't know real time what object is the user is going to be created, right? So in that case, you will have a parent interface whenever you make an object holding with parent interface, and this object passing you will be doing it in dynamic in a runtime. Generally you'll not whenever you use the frameworks like Spring or these things, you'll not be using new keyword and creating an object. You will, the objects will be passed dynamically. So whenever the objects are passed dynamically, you are not sure which objects will be user which will become, right? So whenever you want all the objects to be held by one thing, that nothing but your parent. So parent can hold any object. Like for example, if you make reference of HDFC, if you make IDBI object, it will not be hold, right? But when you make RBI as a left side reference, so that can hold any object. And today we'll be seeing about servlets as like a what is the servlets concept, and what is this basically J2SE, J2EE. So in the beginning of the class, as I told you, your Java has classified into three things. One is your J2EE, J2EE, J2SE, and J2ME. So, and I told you we'll be discussing about J2SE, like the core concepts, like we have covered that OOPS concept in the previous sessions. And today will be today and tomorrow. So tomorrow is the last day mostly. We'll wind up the things by tomorrow. So today we'll just start with what is a servlets, and how you do this web applications. So as I told you, there are two kinds of applications that you can able to develop by using J2EE. That is your advanced Java. One is your web application. One more is nothing but your enterprise applications. So what is a web or enterprise application is nothing which is not a standalone application. So with the core Java or J2SE, you can able to develop a standalone application which runs within the system, right? For example, whatever the program I've written, like the interface or abstract, a small piece of code also, because I was not connecting with the internet, right? So which is running just in my machine, so that I can say it as a standalone application or a standalone program that will be developed by using your core Java. Whenever it comes to an enterprise application, either your J2 with web applications, here what happens, you will be using the servlets concept to develop this kind of applications, where you will be interacting with the internet, and where you will send the request, and you have, whenever you send the request may be received by some server. It may be in US or it may be in Canada, some place it may be, right? And it will take your request and process your request and generate some response, and it will send back again to the client. So there are some terminologies that you need to understand when you want to learn this web application. We'll see that. So whatever the real applications that you see, like for example Facebook, Amazon, Gmail, whatever, they are nothing but your web or enterprise applications, because your Facebook information is not there at your system, right? Whenever you log into the Gmail, all your mailbox information is not there. It is somewhere, but it is coming to your client, to your machine, based on, because of that's a web application, and it will interact with some server where the data is there, whether your WhatsApp information or Facebook information, whatever it may be. So it will get the data from there and it will show it to your client. So that is nothing but your browser. So generally, please let me know. So for example, if you are very new to the programming and with this terminologies, this client server, this may be this terminologies may be little confusing, or please let me know when you're not clear on the things that I'll be trying to explain it then from the basic only, but please let me know when you have some query, or you can please unmute yourself and stop and ask. So you see the web application, so it is nothing but, you can read it from the definition itself. It is a it's a computerized program that uses web browsers and web technologies to perform tasks over the internet. So whatever the application which performs some task over the internet, you call that has nothing but your web application. So you can read this definition also. I just want to, so the data, or the data that is something which is stored in some server or some place, which will be sent back to the your client. So you have a the request always goes in the form of HTTP request, and the whatever the response that you get in the form of HTTP response. So this is nothing but your web server. There are a lot of other things like your client and your web server. So you, whatever you see in the browser is nothing but by HTML, like nothing but your hypertext markup language. So this can be developed. This web server can be developed by using Java, by using Python, but whatever the technology. So if you want to develop your web server, the backend end, if you want to develop by using Java, you will be using a concept called servlets. Hope what is the web application is clear, right? So there is a little difference between your web application and enterprise application. Both serves the request with the internet only, but when it comes to enterprise application, it is little weight, little weighter, like a heavy weight compared to your web application. So you will not be using this for a small scale applications. You, whenever you want to do a bank application, right, where it is like a, have a very heavy weight, where it need to take the lot of other services to be integrated. Like you want, whenever you do a bank application, you need a messaging service, right? And you need a what I can like some kind of messaging, some kind of line. You need a transactions which is very important at your backend, right? So which needs to take some special features, where then you can go for your enterprise application, which is of heavy weight. And web application is like little weight, where you will be just whenever you a small application, I'll just send a request and I'll get a response. I do not need the support of all other things like transaction, security. Most of the things I was not required, so then I can go for a web application. So mostly you will run your web applications in Tomcat server, and your enterprise applications you will be running it in your JBoss or WebSphere, this kind of servers you will be running it. So don't think server is something you can take it as some system where it can store the data. There are different kinds of servers also. As of now, you can just take it that terminology is like something, a system where it will store a data, right? Because whenever you log in, so it has to take your request and send the response, and all that stuff will be doing. Web applications are deployed in a web container, and your enterprise application which has a web container, EJP containers, like messaging. It's like little weight. So you see enterprise applications usually will be used in large companies, large scale, and you deploy this to a Tomcat or a Java WebSphere. So they run it in your web container, and enterprise application will be running it in your IBM WebSphere or Oracle JBoss, this kind of things. So which will have JMS transactions. Some special features will be handled over here, which will not be happening at your web application. So whatever the things web applications can do can be done by enterprise applications, but whatever the things which is supported by your enterprise application cannot be supported by your web applications, right? You can just go through this slide. What is the difference between your server and servlet? And you may get so servlet is different from a server. What is a servlet? Is nothing but the technology that is used at the backend whenever you want to make uh, the server technology as a Java. Like for example, when you send a request, as I told you, it will process your request and send some response, right? So it means someone has to take your request, and there should be some code will be written and to process the request and again send back your response, right? So if you are right, if you choose the code to be written in servlet, sorry, if you choose that I need to write the code in Java, I'll be using a concept called servlet, right? So which is only specific for Java. But when you go for Python, when you go for some other language, they may use some other terminology and it will not be a server. But server is the one which is common for every technology, right? Whenever when whatever the technology you use Java, Python, you need to integrate with the server. So like servers are like the data center. There are database servers. There are different kinds of servers, and even you can able to go through the net and explore more on it also. I do not want to go in deeper, but I think you can get the basic difference of it. For 2 minutes, if you want, you can. I do not want to read that whole lines again, but you can make the difference and see it for 2 minutes. Hope you are clear with these things, right? So your servlets is like the technology for Java, and it will take your HTTP request and it will convert into a Java object, and it will process that Java object and it will send back the HTTP response. Because in a web, everything has to be in HTTP. So I send a request. So the request has to be go in the form of HTTP. What is HTTP? Is nothing but hypertext transfer protocol. So it is nothing but a rule that is given by a standardization. Whenever any protocol is nothing but, I think you know, is nothing but a set of rules, right? Whenever someone sends a request in the web, they should be sending in the they should be sending by following the rules which is given by your HTTP. So that's the reason they call it as HTTP request. You develop your application with .NET, Java, whatever, but you should be sending the request only in the form of HTTP request. So if you use .NET application at your backend, right? So then your HTTP request will be converted into .NET object. If you use Java, it will be converted into Java. So based on that technology. Okay, hope you are clear. So you have web browsers or web clients. So that this is nothing but your clients, whatever you see, your Chrome, IE. So mostly the Chrome is the most popular one that currently people are using. But there are a lot of other browsers, right? Like you have Opera, you have IE, so Mozilla. So all are nothing but you call that as web browsers or web clients because they are the one which will process your request to the servers, right? So whenever you get anything, there will be this client is the one which will take that request and will show it in the form of some format, right? So they will read only the HTML text. So whatever the you see, it will be in form of HTML only. So, but whatever you receive will not be HTML, but it will be converted again at your, you have some front end technologies to do that, and it will be converted to the browser understandable format, and this browser can able that can able to show it in your screen. Okay. I hope you are clear up to this, right? So as I told you, whenever you send a request from the browser, it is going to go in the form of HTTP. That is nothing but your hypertext transfer protocol. 1 minute. You can just go through these points for 1 minute. Okay. I think you are clear with this, right? So generally, it will always in the form of HTTP. So there are two kinds of HTTPs, like one is HTTP and HTTPS. So S stands for security. So mostly whenever you see some bank applications or something, always they use HTTPS. So whenever you are trying to log into the net banking or any other thing, so like what you see, that is nothing but the secured one, so that your connection is secured and you have some SSL certificate installed over here. Whatever the data that is getting transmitted, it is always encrypted here. Whenever you see in net banking, you will be you'll be logging with your user ID password. For sure, that should be encrypted, right? It cannot go as is. So in the web, so that is the reason it will be encrypted, and for that it should be HTTPS. So for example, when you log into normal tutorials, right, like a Java point tutorials or whatever the tutorial, so there the security is not mandatory because we are not doing any CRUD operations or we are not doing any save, so it is just like a read operations. So there it can be HTTP. So I think you understood where I will be using HTTP and where there will be HTTPS. So, but the rules for HTTP and HTTPS will be the same. Like it is a protocol, which is nothing but the set of rules and regulations which is given by World Wide Web. So any request which goes in the web, it should be in the form of HTTP. So where you have header, you have the request body. So we'll see how it is there also. Hope is this clear? Is this terminologies and everything is clear up to this? Any queries? What happened? Any queries or clear? No response. You can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear, and it's clear.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So this is nothing but your normal servlet flow. So look it from your browser point of view, right? Assume that you log in, assume that you are trying to log into your Gmail, right? And you just went for a browser like Chrome or something else, and you entered your username and password, and you just click on the submit button. So as soon as you click on the submit button, what happens? Your whatever you see, that username, password, so which is nothing but your HTML only, because your browser will understand only the HTML format, right? So it is nothing but HTML is nothing but hypertext markup language. HTTP is nothing but hypertext transfer protocol. The terminology is like different. So that's the reason I'm telling you. HTML is nothing but the language that a browser will understand. I think you can go. There are a lot of tutorials, and W3's schools is the best easy way to understand your HTML. So this is nothing but the set of elements, right? You see text boxes, you see submit buttons, you see some drop downs, you see some scroll bar, right? Like in the browsers, in any website. So all are nothing but your elements, that is nothing but your HTML elements. So there will be a DOM object which is a parent of that, and you can read and explore more on HTML. So here you will have, whenever you're trying to log into the Gmail, you will have two text boxes, right? That is nothing but your HTML elements. You'll enter your username and password, and when you click on submit button, so now when you click on submit button, what happens? This request has to go in the net. Am I right? Because when you're trying to log into a Gmail, your username password has to be authenticated, whether it is correct username and password. But who is going to authenticate? That server or that system, maybe in US or somewhere, right? So now your request has to go to that place in the internet. So whenever it is going in the internet, as I told you, it will be going in the form of only HTTP. That is nothing but your hypertext transfer protocol. It will go in that format only, where you have uh, uh, some methods and all that. There is some rules and regulations. We'll see what is that rules and how it will go. Now it will be your HTTP object, I can say, or HTTP request. What your request will contain now? The user ID and password, and it will go in the web to the server. So inside your server, if you use Java technologies, as I told you, will be having your servlet, right? So assume this is nothing but your Tomcat server. As I told you, when you do a web applications, you will be using Tomcat, right? Now you have written a Java code at your, how you write a normal code Java code. Generally, you will make a servlet class, and we'll see how what are the ways that you will make a servlet class, and we'll write a Java code. So in that Java code, there are two parameters. One, you will have a service method, and we'll have a two parameters. One is nothing but your request, and one more is nothing but the response. So request is the one, whatever you are sending will be taking and read that request, and the response is nothing but based on your request, it will process the response, and again that will be shown to the browser. Am I right? So for example, you, it is a your user ID password is right, what happens? It will log into your Gmail. If it is wrong, it will show some text box, like it will show some error message like you have entered incorrect username and password. So it means it has to go to the database and do that validation and send some responses, right? So assume that you have entered your correct user ID and password. So now you have the Java HTTP object. This is not your Java object, because but your code will understand only the Java object. Now this HTTP object will be converted by Java object by your servlet, and it will be read, and it will process that. It means it will get this user ID password, and it will connect to the database and check whether is that these both these usernames or passwords are matching. If it matches, what happens? It will send success. If it does not matches, what it will send? It will send failure. So some response will be formed, and again your whenever as I told you, whenever the response has to go to the browser, how the request came in the form of HTTP request, how the response should go, same in the form of HTTP response. Now, but your Java object again will be converted to the HTTP response by your servlet or container, and it will send back to the browser. It will be sent back in the browser with HTTP response, whether success or failure based on the request that you give, and it will be sent back to the browser, and you can able to see it in the browser. So this is nothing but the normal flow. Hope you are clear with this flow, right? So we'll see how you will develop the servlets. I'm just trying to show that HTML, as I told you, right? So your browser will understand only the HTML, and you can able to see only the text things. I need to log into my Gmail account. So you see this is a text box, so which is a HTML element, right? So you can see by inspecting, you can right click on it and you can just see inspect. Which will show all these elements, like you see this text button, create, everything is nothing but your elements, your HTML elements. Your browser will understand it. So how they have written, so there are some predefined CSS, they'll have HTML. CSS is the one which will add colors or which will add styles to your HTML. So you see this email and username, whatever you see, all are nothing but the elements they have used. So how this email and phone number is coming, because of they have written a div tag in such way, and you see this username. you see this class and everything. There may be, so dev is the one which is like a separate tag where you will be getting it. So input type, next they will be giving it as a password. So you see this next button, right? You can able to inspect even this. This is the one next, right? How you are getting this color and all because of this dev classes they have used. Sometimes they cannot be able to show it, but right, you will be entering some mail and you'll, so by your password, when you type your password, it will be encrypted, right? So you see they have used input type equals to password. So your input type is a password. So even when you do it as a password, so it will not able to it shown, it will be hidden. So enter your password. So this is the text that you can see here. So all these are nothing but the elements. Okay. So there are three ways that you will develop your servlet class. Three ways of developing your servlet class. One is nothing but by implementing servlet interface, and the second one is by extending generic servlet, and the third way is nothing but by extending HTTP servlet. As I told you, implementing servlet interface, implementing means this is nothing but the interface. So for the interface only you do this implementation, right? But extending means this is nothing but a class. This is nothing but a class. So this is nothing but your abstract class. So servlet is a parent. Further, we have a generic servlet which extends this. After that, we have HTTP servlet which is a child of your generic servlet. So we'll see what is the reasons, but we can directly go with the HTTP servlet because there are some disadvantages with generic and this one, and that's the reason they have gone with your HTTP servlet. So as I told you in the beginning, when you are trying to download an Eclipse, and you should be downloading an Eclipse for enterprise application and web applications, then only you are able to do this things. If not, it will be, you cannot able to do a web application. So for doing a web application, please download your Tomcat. Latest version, any version is fine, like 7 or 8 is the I was using, but you can, I think there was some latest versions came for Tomcat. You can use that also. So downloading Tomcat is very simple. Like as I told you, there's nothing but Tomcat is a container where you deploy your web applications. Three things you required. To develop in normal like you need three classes like so one is nothing but HTML pages where you will see that text boxes, Gmail and all these things, right? And one more is nothing but your servlet class. Classes, and you can have the Java classes and so we'll be using the basic things that you can write run a web application like something hello or something. And the third one is nothing but your web products. So this is nothing but your mapping one. Again, XML is nothing but extensible markup language. This is nothing but another language. How you have an HTML language, you have XML. So both the syntax looks little similar, but they are different languages. Your HTML is the one which is developed for browsers, like the client understanding. The client understands only this HTML. So XML is the one which will be used at a backend for mapping thing or for other. So for example, I just want the mapping stuff, or at the backend this mostly is used. So this is nothing but it will be used at your front end. So before doing a web application, you should be downloading a Tomcat. So before download the Tomcat, okay. So it is very easy. You can just go. I have already downloaded, so that's the reason. So you can just type Tomcat download, which will be able to download you the latest version. So this is nothing but the container or a server where you deploy your application. You can take it as a container for a web application. For enterprise, as I told you, you'll be deploying it in a JPass, so which is as I view it. So as of now, we'll be doing it as a Tomcat, like a web application. So based on your Windows operating system or whatever it may be, so based on that, you can able to download. It's a free source. How you download Eclipse, JDK, the same process. It will download you the .exe abstracted file. You just install that. I have already downloaded that thing and attached, imported that to my Eclipse, that server. Please let me know if you're downloading any queries or you stuck with how to start it. You can ask. The net is little slow. Tomcat Apache Watch is the official website. So select your version, like which version you want to get, 8 or 9 or 10, which version you need to be downloaded. Currently I was using 8 version, but your choice, you can use 9 or 10 versions also. Okay, which will redirect to the Tomcat downloaded screen, right? 8 version, and here you can able to unzip whichever you want it, like 64-bit or 34-bit. Based on that, you just click on this and you will be download. Okay. So right click on this and new. And as I told you, I want to develop a web application, right? So you see there is a option called enterprise, option called web project, EJP. There are a lot of things we have. Before we have developed a Java project. Now we will be developing a dynamic web project. So what we'll do is nothing but we'll just uh, write an application where we have a user ID password, and what we do, we'll have Oracle database, and we'll try to connect to the Oracle database and check whether the user ID password is present in that table or not. If it's so, we'll just return that okay, your login is successful. If not, incorrect user ID and password. So that's what as of now we are going to do, and we'll complete those things by tomorrow, and I'll wind it up. So we'll have a database. I think most of you are clear with the, I have an idea what is database, what is SQL. But if not, please go through that. Database is the one where you need to store the large amount of data, where you will have SQL is the one structured query language which your DB will understand it. So where we have a table, columns, and the rows. We'll see tomorrow that. Login. Isha, I'm just giving it. So this is my login. Isha is my project name. So generate web.xml. As I told you, you need 3 things, right? One is nothing but your HTML pages, servlet classes, and your web.xml. So I'm just clicking on this, which will generate you the web.xml, and the structure of your web dynamic project is different from your Java project. So I have created a project called Login Isha. So you have seen the structure is different, right? You have Java resources, web content. So in this web content, you have this web.xml. So this is a structure of your dynamic web project. So in Java resources, you'll have SRS folder. We'll be writing all your Java classes. And you have a web content. In that web content, we'll be writing the HTML pages. So this is a structure because your browser will understand this is this kind of structure itself. So I'm creating an HTML page. That is nothing but login.html. some login. So I created that under web content. So you see, this is nothing but you write. This is the way you write your HTML code. So you have opened this very simple. You can learn it from W3 schools, like how you write your text boxes and all. And for a header, you have a head tag. You open this head tag and you closed it. Whatever the tag that you open, you will be closing it. So there's a parent of HTML tag. I opened it and I closed it. I'll be writing all my HTML code under this. This is a hypertext markup language which understands by your browser. So there's a body. I opened it and I closed it where I'll be writing the content. So as I told, what I want, I just want to write a screen like this, where I need a user ID, password, and a submit button. So I need 2 text boxes and 1 button to click on that, which will go my request, which will take my user ID, password to the backend. So for that, we have a predefined tag in HTML that is nothing but input type equals to, I'm giving it as text. Some name I'm giving it as something like user ID. So what is this is nothing but where the backend user can able to get this. It's like an ID where he can able to read it. Username. So this can be seen in the screen. And one more is nothing but your password, right? I can give input type equals to password. And what is the name for it? I'm giving some pass. So this is just like an ID where the user can able to get this value. Not the user, but the backend you can able to get this value. After this, I want a submit button, right? Input type equals to, we have submit. You can give the value. So this is the one which can able to be seen in the screen. Submit is the one which can be seen on the button. Input type equals to submit is a predefined one which will take your action. Otherwise, you can give login here, which can be seen in the button. Seen on the button, sorry. So I have developed the HTML page. So now next I'll be writing the servlet class. So as I told you, where I'll be writing my servlet classes in the SRS folder. New. How you have an option to create a class. Similarly, your Eclipse will provide an option called to create a servlet. So that's the reason your IDs are very useful. So if you write it with normal notepad place or normal things, so it is like you manually you need to write all the things, but your IDs will at least generate the templates for it. You can start coding your part. So I can give the package name where I just want to do these things. com.register. So com.register something. There's nothing but my package name. I'm giving a class called login servlet. So by default, it will do the extents of HTTP servlet. So it has do this extent of your HTTP servlet. So you see there was a lot of errors. Why this? Because it cannot able to identify this part itself. You see this HTTP servlet, and when I am trying to do import, you see this is Java X servlet.htp servlet. So from where it is coming? So for example, when you add anything, you need to have a jar, right? So some predefined thing, you should have a jar. So all these are coming it from your Tomcat things. So you need to configure the Tomcat servlet to here. So then it can able to identify this HTTP servlet, which is coming from the servlet. You see Java X dot servlet. Why? Because your servlet is not able to identify. It cannot able to import. So I'll just do that configuration. It got hanged. You need to add that in project space set Tomcat. So when then in that case it can able to identify it, and then you will be able to get that. Sorry, in classroom of condition. Oh, sorry, I don't know. It got hanged. So, so your generic servlet will be sorry, your HTTP servlet will be having a method called do get and do post. So you will be writing your things in your do get and do post. So I took in the example, I have written the code in the service, right? So if you see, I have written your Java code where you will be taking a request. I have written it in the service method. So, but this is a method that is present in your servlet interface. So whenever you do implementation of your servlet interface, you have an abstract method called service where you will be writing this logic. But when you do the implementation of your generic servlet, or when you do this implementation of HTTP servlet, you will not be writing the code in your service. Internally, it may call your service method. That is not different, but you will be writing your code in the do get or do post. So what is this do get or do post? Is nothing but your I can say why you have do get and do post is nothing but because your HTTP servlet is developed based on your HTTP requests, right? So as I told you, whenever the request comes in the HTTP, so there are different kinds of methods are available, like get, post, put, delete. So these are nothing but the different HTTP methods that are available. So whenever the method is of get, if we are getting a request of in the form of get, you write your logic in the do get. If the request is you are getting in the form of post, you write your logic in the do post. So you can see there are do get and do post methods. Right. So by default, if you do not specify anything in the page in the HTML page, it will be taking to do get. So I have to go to properties, some in projects facets I need to configure this. You see there is an option called project facets where you have runtime, where you see this Apache Tomcat is unchecked it. So please when you check it and apply, so it can able to identify all that methods from your imports from your servlet, and that errors will be going. So when you're trying to add some for example some jar, it has to be identified, right? So I will be using some class I used in whenever you use core Java, I used abstract interface. So these are nothing but the predefined things. How you can able to, how you can your Java can able to identify that, because you already had a JRE, that jar is already imported and it can able to identify. The same way it has to identify these things. So you need to make this Apache enable and apply it. So this will be able to identify. You see all the errors have gone. So I am writing as of now in the doGet. So you see how you have a service as a two parameters, request and response. The same you have here also, HTTP servlet request, HTTP servlet response. The request is the one which you get it from the HTML page, and the response is the one that you send back again to the browser. So from this HTML page, what I have, what I need to do in my backend, I need to read the username and password what a user entered in the browser, right? So for that, I have given an IDs like user ID, password ID. It is like key comma values, right? When you know the collections, you will be knowing it. So how I need to get this username, I need to get this password. So for that, I will be using the predefined method again, like from the request object I need to get it, right? So whenever you cause this, it will create a Java object and it will have a request, it will form as a Java request object. As I told you, when you click on submit button, it will be formed as a Java object and it will send that user ID password in that Java object to the service method. Your service method will have that request and response. So request contains that user ID password, right? So this request contain, the service method contains this request object. There is nothing but whatever you passed it. The same way here, right? You are passing that user ID password. You have a request, this HTTP servlet request, which will contain that request and password. So from that I need to get it, right? So for that I'll use request dot get parameter is a predefined method where I'll pass the ID, which will return me the user ID. So request dot get parameter dot password, which will return me the password. So now what happened? After that, then I'll be getting that user ID password in my backend code, right? And what I need to do now, I'll be translating it to some other class where I'll send again back to the database or something, and I'll check whether in the database is that user ID password is matching. If matching, I'll send some success response. If not, I'll send some failure response. So get parameter is the one which will take a parameter of string type. So here I should be passing user ID. What is nothing but I have given it in my HTML page, right? This is nothing but the ID. And me the username. Same way I need to get it that password. So for password, what is the value I need to pass? Pass, because this is what I'm giving as an ID here. So which will return the user ID which entered in the browser, which will return a password which entered in the browser, and I'm just storing it in the two variables. So I just want again send this back to the browser, right? So what I need to use for that, I need to use a response object, right? So response, so generally I will be checking it in database and doing it, but as of now what I'll do, I'll just send back, see how that things working. So after this, what we do, we'll connect to the database and we'll be checking and sending success or fail. So as of now, but I'm just sending the same user ID with some hello text I'm adding and then sending it. Response dot, we'll have a method called getWriter, will return me the printWriter object. So that printWriter object has a method called println, where I can able to send the data. So for example, when you want to print the data in a console, what you write? System.out.println. The same way, I want to return the data to a browser. So then I will be getting a getWriter object from this HTTP servlet response, and I'll just send whatever I just want to send back again to the browser. So what I'll be sending, some hello, that username I'll send. So this is what I'm just sending it. So I'm just reading username password, but as of now I'm just sending only the username to the browser by adding hello, that person name. So we have done with the servlet class, and we have done with the HTML page. So what is the other thing that we left? Is nothing but a web.xml. So what is this web.xml? Is nothing but a mapping between your HTML and their servlet. So that I'll be already, it got generated. I have got generated while doing the project itself. Please stop me when you are not clear on some part. So here you see this web.xml code also, language also looks similar to your HTML. In HTML also, whatever the tag that you open, you will be closing in the same format, the same way. You open some welcome file list and you close that welcome file list, right? So I need to write in two tags over here. One is your servlet tag and one more is nothing but your servlet mapping tag. Servlet, I opened the servlet and I have closing the servlet tag, where I'll be having another, I've opened it and I closed it, where again have in this servlet tag, I'll having again two child tags. One is nothing but your servlet name. You get this clear after completing everything, and servlet name. So this is nothing but the ID. I can give anything here. So I'm just giving the ID called login. And one more you have is nothing but your servlet name and your servlet class. So which class you want to map it? So which class I just want to map it? Here my login servlet, and you need to give that login servlet with fully qualified name. Fully qualified name is nothing but with the package, because if we are not giving it the package, your container cannot able to identify it. What is your package name? com.register.login servlet. Dot and one more is nothing but your servlet mapping. I opened the servlet mapping, and same way I have closed it, this servlet mapping. inside the servlet mapping, again I will be having two child tags. One is nothing but servlet name, one is nothing but URL pattern. I'll tell what I'll be writing in the URL pattern. This is what is the name I'm giving is nothing but the name that I have given over here. As I told you, this web.xml is generally a mapping from your HTML page to servlet page. So what is the mapping? Because what is the mapping is, so for example, I'm just clicking on submit button. So I click on submit button. So your application may have 10 servlets, right? How we have a login servlet, it may have some 100 some home servlet or some employee servlet. So, but from if the action is coming from employee servlet, sorry, if the action is coming from login servlet, how your container will know, how your servlet container will know, it has to go to the login servlet. So that you define it in your web.xml. And here you have a thing called URL pattern, and I opened it and I closed its URL pattern where I'll define an action. What is an action? That is coming from an HTML. I'm just defining an action called some logging is nothing but an action. I defined it. So I'll be defining this logging action in my HTML. So here I should be writing under everything under form. Action equals to logging. This is the form I opened and the form I have closed it. So what is the action? I have written nothing but a login. So on click on submit button, what is action? It is nothing but the logging. So this action is searched in your web.xml by the container. So container will first go to web.xml and see where that action is present in the servlet mapping. Okay, it has present in this. Okay, if the action is coming with login. So what is my servlet name? So the servlet name is login. So it will take that login name and login, and it will search this login in the servlet tags. So in the servlet tag, I found this login. Okay, for this login, what is the class map? It is nothing but login servlet. So if the action is coming as logging, it will go to the login servlet. So that is the way you do the mapping from your HTML page to your servlet page. Sorry, HTML page to your servlet class. So now I have done a simple application, and what I need to do, I need to deploy this application to the server. So how I'll deploy it, when I want to run a normal application, I'll run it as run on Java application. When I want to deploy a web application, I'll just run it. As I told you, I need to deploy this to a Tomcat. So right click on this project, and you have an option called run as. So in run as, if it is a normal Java application, I should be running as a Java application, but it is a web application, so I'll be running as on Tomcat. That is nothing but run on server. Now our server is our Tomcat. So download this Tomcat and you need to add it to Eclipse. So it is very simple. Please try to do it. So I was using 7 version. As I told you, you can use any other version based on your Windows. And you will, whenever in Eclipse, if you do not add it, it will have an option called add server. So there you can able to add it. So for this, already there are these projects were configured. I'm just starting it. That's it. You see this login issue is configured, and I'm just starting. So by default, the port number for your Tomcat server is 8080, but you can able to change your port number also. You see, your application is publishing it to the server. It is getting started. You can in console you can see if there is any errors or in which port number it is getting started. I think there was some error. It look unable to start within 4 if the server requires some time, increasing the timeout. There was some issue and it cannot able to start in this time. I have configured only one application. Before I started this application with 3-4 projects. Generally, you can start an application with how many projects you wanted. Whenever you do a real-time application, you'll have a lot of projects and you'll be configuring all the projects and starting yourself, right? So you see, server got started in some time. So please try to do this by today, and you can let me know if any queries or something by tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll wind up the sessions. What we do tomorrow is nothing but we'll try to connect to the database and see that we do the configurations, how we connect your Oracle database. I'm showing to an Oracle database. You can use MySQL or whatever the database it is. So the process is the same. You will just change your properties and all. See, your Tomcat has been started with the port number 8080. Why it is giving 404? Because I have in the welcome content I have given index.html, which is not available here. So whenever you want to see the home screen, you just press your login.html. So this is a default browser which your Apache has given, but you can run this the same in the Chrome also. So you can see there's nothing but this is how I created, right? Username, password, right? And I'll click some name called Raj and password some 1 2 3 4 5 6. So you see it is encrypted by I have given the type as password, and I click on login. It should say hello Raj. So see, it is going to the backend and saying hello Raj. So whatever the name you type, it will give Ramesh some password login. Hello. So it is going to the backend and getting the data. You can run this in your Chrome also.
టిఫిన్ అంటే ఎందుకంటే నాకు వచ్చి చెప్తాను
ఒక నిమిషం ఆగవే. So how you will be running it in the normal Chrome application. Any queries? Someone was trying to ask something. Is this fine up to this? This is a default browser. You can run it in Chrome or IE, whatever you want, wherever you want it. Any queries as of now?
No, it's good. Yeah.
Okay. So you please do that downloading and all this things, but then you can able to get back to me tomorrow if any issues that you face in Tomcat, and maybe if it is you may face some issues, right? Completely new. Then
Okay, fine. Sure. Yeah.
nothing. I was trying to show that in Chrome, but that's it. It is getting hanged. So in the Chrome also you'll be seeing the same what I have. If you are using the same connectivity, you instead of local host is nothing but your IP address, 80 is nothing but your port number, and local login is the project name, and the home your start page is nothing but login.html. So you can replace this local host with your IP address. So generally when you connect with some other system, it will be that application name, right? Some Amazon or that things will be there here. So it is a normal application. That's the reason we are having a standardized. We are not having the security like we are using HTTP. You can run it in from your mobile also. For example, if you have both your laptop and mobile connected to the same thing, you can browse this in mobile and check the enterprise applications. Like you can just instead of localhost, you can give this in the IP address, and you can see that output in your mobile also. If you do this in your laptop, and you can able to run this from your mobile. So you see the same thing. The screen you got it. I've run it in the Chrome. Some password. It will say hello Ram. That's it. I've not done any authentications and all. So what we do tomorrow, we'll try to send this to database and see. Okay. If no queries, I'll wind up it today. Is it fine?
We'll see tomorrow. Yeah. Yes.
No. Okay. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you.